I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I think we could do that to the theme of the Love Boat.
My souls.
Soon we'll be making another bomb run. My souls blowing up everyone. And, well, we're not monetizing this channel, so hey.
Storming a campus near you. My souls. Screaming at your local Jews.
It's scary when the country of Columbia is safer than the University of Columbia.
That's accurate.
I've been to that camp. I know people that went there. It's fucked up. If you get Meghan McCain to denounce you, you know it's bad.
Right.
What did she renounce the?
She went to Columbia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she's
funny.
like, "This is not the university I went to," and blah 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 da 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 da. I'm like, "Duh, listen, hey here." Yes, Randall, I have been fired.
Out of a cannon into the sun.
And he finds his way back.
Yep.
And
While
not sure
singing
how.
Great Balls of Fire.
Hey, there's
Yeah,
Eric
I
Day.
think Corey could do a lounge singer group bit of Hamas holes.
Hamasals.
Hey, look, it's Eric K.
I just said
Hey,
that.
Grumbly Tag.
Could probably threw it in Suno and.
Aaron Ratliff, too. Ooh, this is the new one.
Yep.
They're all around me, government lies. They're spreading like flies, misinformation. They want us blind, but I won't be fooled. I'm not standing in line. It's on the screen and online. It's hard to believe what is the lies. The twisting the truth, try to deceive us, but I won't be brainwashed. My mind won't be sold. Gotta break the chains. I'm taking back control of my way. Misinformation. Trying to deceive us, but I'll be fooled. I won't believe the lies. I'm searching for truth. Expose the false truth. Wrapped up in lies. Misinformation. 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 Don't buy the lies.
You need to switch that up to Elon walking up and smacking that Australian bitch.
That's true. That's some crazy eyes right there.
Oh yeah.
Don't buy the lies. They're spreading like flies. Disinformation. They want us blind, but I won't be fooled. I'm not standing in line. Conspiracy theories.
Yes. Thank you, Suno AI. Oh, and fucking loop. Yeah. Even though I
fix
turned
that for
looping
you.
off, that's annoying. Oh well. Hello and welcome to the new intro that I came up with. And
Actually,
Yeah.
apparently I came up with it.
you did? Oh, okay.
Grumbly Tech. That's because apparently you can't do anything cool.
I guess. Despite
That
the fact
was-
I came up with a song
That was all Ian K.
and a little help from Suno AI.
The opening needs more Sweeney.
Yeah. Well, you
Okay.
know, we could do
But that's not misinformation. That's all like real.
yeah. We can call it the tits out stream where it's just Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney. All Sydney Sweeney, all the time.
Sweeney all the time.
Yeah. Anyway,
She's not that pretty.
she's not that pretty.
No.
But I think she's attractive. I mean, she's not
body
like
is.
super hot, but she's got a pretty face.
Yeah,
It's an
get
okay.
him, Toxie. Kick him in the midget shins. Yeah, we call it the tatas.
Yes.
That's what. All right, so we've done the J-Laws. We've done the She-Hulkies. We need to do the tatas.
The tatas.
Yeah. And we should just bury our face in it.
Best hits in entertainment.
That's right.
Eva Green.
That's right. And,
Yep.
Selma Hayek would get a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
And then after that, we need to have the Bulge Awards.
Is that what we get for after watching the Tata Awards?
It's the Bulge Awards.
Is
That's
the
right.
Bulge Award? It's a reward in itself.
And the tatas goes to Bulges Out, the erection stream.
It's like the election stream, but not even close.
Aaron's like, no shit, Randall. I didn't even know she had eyes for about a month. Oh, that's so misogynistic. I feel so. Toxic.
Welcomed.
I feel so. Well, at Southern Bell's connections dropped, so I feel so bad.
Yeah,
She probably got angry at us. Well, no, she didn't do that.
maybe. You never know.
I doubt
hard.
this would be the thing to push her over the edge.
Oh, I know.
Of course not. There's way worse that has happened.
Yeah. Way, way worse.
Darius is getting into it. Gray Fox Awards, those who still look good after 50. I like that. We'll call it the Cougars. Or wait, we could have it in like South America. We call it the Cougars.
Cougars. Cougarland. Cougarland. Yeah.
Muchos gracios cugranos. Or whatever. Because to make anything Spanish, you just put O at the end of it.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It's typically how you do it. Yeah.
Grumbly Tech, the only people that can tag comics are usually present white supremacists. So there you go.
Okay.
That's a prison sex joke. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
There we go. The GILFs.
The Gilfs.
Grandmas, I'd like to not. Okay. That ain't working.
Dude. Okay. Before we get started, I found this thing because I was Googling Biden gaffes to put in the video, and I found this. Oh, this is fantastic. When did this come out? This is recent, I believe.
Today.
Okay. Yeah. So it basically lists all of the gaffes that Biden has done.
Well, Biden
Starting
and
with
Trump.
Yeah, Biden and Trump, but
I mean, Trump's never said anything controversial or wrong.
or dumb, but yeah, I mean, I would say that when it comes to percentages, I'm willing to wager Biden has a lot more.
Maybe.
Well,
Depends
they
on
make
who's
less
recording
sense.
him. Because remember, the winner writes history.
True. But yeah, in a recent speech, when he was reading the teleprompter, he read pause, which is the second time that I'm aware of him going and reading
Fade
something.
out.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, there was the Kathleen
Repeat
Kennedy
the
fade out.
line.
Repeat the line was the other one. Yeah. So, yeah. It's cute. Biden appeared to read out loud a direction from his teleprompter to pause during a speech before North American Building Trade Union. Imagine that we can, what we could do next. 4 more years, pause. Biden said before the crowd began chanting 4 more years. Frequent
This doesn't have his other
Biden
one
rallying
from-
cry. Yeah. Well,
This
I mean,
doesn't
it's
have his other one from yesterday where he said he was talking about Trump and he said, how many times does he have to prove that we can't be trusted instead of he can't be trusted?
Yeah.
God.
The truth hurts, man. The truth hurts.
A rare
R-
truth out of him, yeah.
RNC research has a lot of really good ones.
Oh, they've got a pinned message that is their pinned tweet is a 5-minute video of him just making gaffes.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
It is really hilarious. Yeah, so I'm going to just plop this into my share screen so you guys can see the actual video that we're talking about here. This is just
get into the corner and just
freaking funny.
think about the guys you grew up with. You'd like to get into the corner.
Oh,
and
that's not
get
it.
Straight left.
This was him just saying.
I'm
that he
not
wanted to
suggesting we hit the
punch
president.
Trump again.
Yep. I'm not suggesting we punch Trump or anything.
Which he has suggested before.
Yeah, he has. That's the funny
Take him
part.
out behind the bleachers.
Oh, here it is. Here's
on.
here's
For
pause.
years. Imagine what we can do next. 4 more years. Pause.
The fact that nobody acknowledges the fact that he said pause. That's the best part. Like,
Well,
what?
the funny part is they released a transcript of the speech,
And
and it
removed
just says 4 more years, unintelligible, in parentheses, rather than pause. Like,
wow.
we can't tell what he said.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's the media going to bat for him.
Mm-hmm.
No surprise. None in the slightest.
Guy's so useless.
Yeah, he really is.
Well,
Yeah,
he's doing exactly what the administrative state wants him to do,
be a puppet.
which is be a puppet and take our focus away from what's really happening. It's kind of like the wars that are happening overseas. And seriously, it took police state actions to get Americans to get into World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. And that was after Pearl Harbor. Because Americans didn't want to deal with any of this crap. Right? We just leave it. Europe fights its own war. You guys do whatever. That's it. Right? So, to me, I really don't care about Ukraine, Israel, Hamas, Palestine, any of that shit. I really don't. I have more than enough trouble handling what's happening right around me. And that's the point.
I mean,
they want you to be focused somewhere else and not looking at the fact that you're in a blender.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. Is like, I am neither pro or anti-Israel, right? They're just another country. They have their own problems. I know I have friends that live there, right? I mean, and all that. But it's the same view I have with any other nation. It doesn't mean we can't help you, but you got to solve your own fucking problems, right? Especially when this shit's been prolonged for years. It's the thing that really irritates me was when's the last time did people in Congress wave American flags in Congress? Dramatic pause. I can't recall.
Right.
I don't think I've ever seen people in Congress waving American flags. But what I have seen is Congress wave Ukraine flags after passing that bill where all of our money goes to them.
Well, yeah, that's because they were all getting money.
Yeah.
They've admitted it is just money laundering. That's all it is.
Mm.
And that's what it's been for a very long time. Vietnam, money laundering. That's all it was. Testing out new stuff, money laundering, testing out new agents. But that's what they're doing. Same thing.
Yep.
So eventually what you have to do is stop paying attention to that and vote local. Because as soon as you realize that your local elections matter way more than anything on the national level, right? Then everything else fixes itself. And so it's kind of like treating the symptoms instead of affecting a cure. And that's what they've been doing for quite some time. And look at what's happening on this platform, YouTube platform. and the people that are being squashed, and the algorithm that they're doing and all this stuff, they are definitely manipulating stuff. They've caught Facebook manipulating exactly what they are trying to get many people on the wrong side of the tracks to go to jail for, and election interference. Right.
I mean, that's the thing that's the narrative that they're shifting right now with the Trump trial. They're trying to say it was election interference. And it's like, wait. Yeah, that's what they're saying it is. They're saying he didn't break any laws, but we're saying it's election interference because he's trying to make his image look good, right?
Right.
But yet we have articles coming from Time Magazine talking about how a cabal of not unelected officials came together to fortify the election, but that's somehow not election interference. You have all these things that the Biden admin has been doing that is not election interference. Hell, you could say that the fucking trials themselves,
all the lawfare is
all the lawfare is legitimately election interference, right?
It's more blatant election interference than anything we've seen in decades, maybe ever.
Yeah, because the Stormy Daniels trial that's going on right now, they're like, you can't go campaign. You can't go to, I think it was like his son's graduation. Yeah, it's like it's all this like really crazy shit, and all that is designed to prevent Trump from campaigning. He has to be in court. If he doesn't go to court, if he's not in court, they want to send him to jail. And it's like, this is blatant election interference. But
and the gag order that they imposed that basically says everybody can say whatever they want about you on every news station,
but you can't say anything. Yeah,
the one he just blew through.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. They can't really do anything about him.
That's literally, I dare you to put me in jail. The election will be over.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They would have to fortify so hard that they'd have to. So basically, they'd have to put in a plan where they open the borders, the southern border, and just let everyone through, and then ship them out to all these red state areas. Gave them IDs, a couple of $1,000s a month, and then allow them to vote. That's what they would have to do in order to beat Donald Trump in November.
I see what you're doing.
What?
I think we all do.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Nothing that we can talk about on one of our channels.
That's not my channel.
And that channel's not monetized either.
It's not monetized either. So whatever.
If it gets nerfed, I'm not necessarily worried about it.
Yeah, we'll just start up another one. Get everybody on board. Come over to Yelling at Park Cars 2. As we get older, it's going to be mumbling it. Yeah, mumbling at park cars.
Mumbling at motorcycles. There we go.
There we go.
Well, what if the plan is to let it go to crap?
What, the motorcycles?
No, to let it go to crap and let Donald win, and then everything crashes.
Possible.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're trying to crash our country.
Yeah, but then once he goes in, they know all the things they're doing.
I think that they will do exactly what they've accused people of doing back in 2020, and they will not certify the election results. I think that they will get to the point where Hakeem Jeffries is the Speaker of the House. They won't certify. It'll go past a certain date, and then Hakeem Jeffries will become president of the United States. That is my prediction, that in July or August of 2025, Hakeem Jeffries will be sworn in as president of the United States.
You mean of 2024?
No,
the election is in 2024. He takes over January 20th, 2025. They have to certify the electorate on the 6th of January. They won't. It'll go through stuff. It'll have to go through some ramifications. They have to go to the Supreme Court. It'll be a constitutional crisis. And then it will go to what the natural remedy is inside of the Constitution, and that's for the Speaker of the House to become president.
I could see that, but I also see what I had predicted of Hakeem Jeffries being the Speaker within the next few months.
Right.
Yes. Well, no, that will happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he will be Speaker of the House next year.
I don't think it automatically goes to the Speaker, though.
Yes, it does.
I know in the line of
election, the
it-
Congress picks the president.
yeah, that's
and that will be and
Okay.
who picks, not the
Whoever they
Senate.
pick.
okay. Fair enough. Okay, if you're saying
That'll
that they
be-
pick him, then I agree with you. But like I said, it doesn't automatically go to the Speaker of the House. It does through the line of succession if something happens to the president, vice president.
They
et cetera,
die
et
and all
cetera.
that stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
However, whoever has one, the Democrats have never broken ranks. So they have one more vote, though they had somebody die today, but he'll get replaced,
Mhm.
right? Hakeem Jeffries, Speaker of the House. If it's a split down the middle, 218 to 218 or whatever, he gets to vote on himself to be president. What the fuck do you think is going to happen?
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you on
Yeah.
that.
So that's my
I was just
prediction.
pointing out it's not an automatic line of succession. If they vote him in, then I completely agree with
You
you.
are correct.
No.
If I did not make that distinction, thank you very much for the correction.
Okay.
And the crazy thing is, there are many electoral maps right now that could get you to neither person gets to 270 because of
Mhm.
Nebraska, because of the way Nebraska splits out its 3 votes.
I don't think it'll happen to that. I think you'll see very early that you'll see very early in the New England and the East Coast Southern states. You'll see it very quickly. If Georgia and South Carolina swing towards Biden, then it's over. Because there's absolutely no way he has any shot of either one of those 2 states.
Well, there's something that Pinochet said for $5. That's kind of in line with what you're talking about. It says, while everyone's laughing at the gas, feds are giving social security numbers to illegals, effectively bypassing the states, allowing them to federally vote and override citizens. Texas and MO, all they
Texas and
need.
Missouri is all they need. Right. And that's what I'm saying they're doing.
Yeah.
So why they were so hard against Abbott and DeSantis shipping them to California, Chicago,
Yeah, the blue
Because they're
states.
gonna-
New York,
Ineffective
blue
in
states,
states.
is because they didn't need them there.
Mhm.
This is happening before your eyes from that standpoint. And, I'm a hardliner for the southern border. It should be closed.
Yep.
And anybody that tries to cross it should be met with extreme force.
Well, especially now
Because
that we're
eventually
seeing
that'll
them
stop.
rushing the fucking gates and shit. I mean, that's insane, dude. That is absolute insanity. And the fact that we don't have a line of troops blocking people from crossing at this point is ridiculous. I mean, something needs to be done.
You don't really need a line of troops. You need a certain number of Apaches, a certain number of warthogs,
I'm
A-10s.
just
Yeah.
throwing something out, dude. I
know. And just you don't need that much to secure the border,
Yeah.
but it's
I mean,
orchestrated.
I'm trying to remember what was said on Tim Pool's show. I think it was like, I don't know if it was like just last year or if it's basically just been the last 4 years of Biden, that literally the entire state of New York City has come over our southern border.
Pretty much.
The population of the state of New York.
Mhm.
That's insane. Absolutely.
Yeah. I
fucking
mean,
insane.
well, you don't maintain the social programs. So the progressive movement has really screwed themselves
Mhm.
and screwed the country pretty badly, because you can't sit there and say that, okay, you need 2 people to work and you can have this career and do all that stuff. You don't have to have kids until you're in your late 30s and all that stuff. Have 2 people that have 1 kid and sustain all the freaking social programs you push through.
Yep.
Because Social Security and FDR, one of the worst presidents ever, pushed through Social Security and Medicare, Medicaid, and all that stuff. It was predicated. The only reason it worked is because of the baby boom. People came back from the war and had 3, 4, 5 kids.
Mm.
And then that ended. So it's going to be a hard crash. That's anyone who took an economics class in high school or college in the 80s is fully aware of the impending economic doom we are facing.
Mhm.
So when people say, Southern Bell says, well, it's going to burn it all down and do this, it is. It will completely burn down. The economic system that is the United States will fall apart because we can't sustain what we're doing. They're at the final stage, which is just printing money.
Mhm.
And we know where that goes.
Hyperinflation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And where that's going to lead to is what we've seen happen throughout history and throughout even recent history.
Wheelbarrows of money just to buy a gallon of milk.
Nothing there.
Venezuela.
Yeah.
But nobody's talking about what happened in Japan today with the yen. It's dropped
No,
hugely.
I didn't hear about that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's bottom, and I mean it's going down.
Why did the yen tank?
Well, they're
Nobody's
switching.
buying their products.
But they're doing digital stuff. They were doing
Mhm.
Bitcoin and other stuff to help hold it up today. I mean, that's all I could tell. Zero Hedge was the only one that talked about it, but it was
Mhm. And
That was
even
fun,
Zero
yeah.
Hedge, I have a hard time believing a lot of the things they say. Because once you start getting into cryptocurrency, and I had mentioned this a year, maybe a year and a half ago, just how bad an idea cryptocurrency was.
Mhm.
And it was nothing but a tool for authoritarian governments to insert themselves into your financial transactions.
Are you talking about CBDC or crypto in general?
Crypto in general.
Okay.
It just is a bad idea. Now, so it was a good idea. It was created. Oh, that's neat. Da, 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 da. It's the same thing that's happened in every major breakthrough that we've had in technology. Yeah, that's a cool idea. And then the authoritarians take it over,
Mhm.
right? So I would prefer that they never came up with Bitcoin or any of that stuff.
Well, I think ultimately
of
the
where it
issue
is.
it's the blockchain stuff where you're able to go and see every transaction. That's the thing that should be concerning when it comes to crypto. And it gets even worse when you start talking about CBDC stuff because and that's what they want. They don't want Bitcoin. What they want is their own funded or government controlled crypto like CBDC.
Right. They want to be able to track so
Mhm.
right now I can take X amount out of my safe, all right, and go and buy a car, all right. They can't trace. So if let's say somebody has a Jeep, 1965 Jeep, got solenoid, got all this stuff and everything in there. It doesn't have a computer in it, right?
Mhm.
And I want to buy that. I can head over to that person's house. I can hand them cash and drive off of that thing, and then I just register the car. They can't track any of that.
Right.
All they know is I registered, right? And the title transfers hands.
Mhm.
And if they didn't have a title, I just do a lost title, and as soon as I think a year and nobody claims it, I get a title.
Yeah.
So that's what they're trying to get away from is the anonymity of me being able to keep the government out of my business. And that's the uphill battle.
Ability to prevent you from buying that vehicle, because that's one of the things that
that car wastes too much CO2.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's all about the control factor of we're not going to let you buy that because of, like you said, it's a pollution hazard. We want to stay green, so we're denying your ability to buy that. It's like, let's say you go to Academy and you want to buy a firearm, and it's like, well, no, you can't buy that firearm because guns are bad. Okay, that's the thing that we need to be massively concerned with the CBDC stuff, because it will ultimately, well, not only do they have the negative interest, right? The ability to take your money away, which is absolutely frightening. But it's the
off from all commerce.
Yeah. Oh, well, you've been doing too many bad things, and we're not going to let you spend any of your money. Oh, and we're also going to take it away because of negative interest.
It's confiscated for wrong thought.
Yeah. And we all know if you had the ability to, there's just two things that people will capitulate faster than anything else. You control their ability to buy food. That's the number one, right? People capitulate pretty much immediately. And the second one is controlling their money, right? Not only just not being able to buy food, but being able to buy anything, pay your rent, pay your mortgage, whatever. I mean, you make it to the point where you basically deperson people from being able to pay their bills, eat, buy groceries, and they will comply instantly. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are out there. That is the case. That all of us on this panel, if that happens to us, it's only a matter of months before we're like, fuck it, I'm done. Right.
Right. Exactly. Michael Flynn did that.
Months.
Yeah.
Michael Flynn had him dead to rights. And then they said, you can't stop us from destroying your son.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, I didn't do anything, but I will say that I did so that you will leave my son alone.
Yeah.
And that's really the thing. When they go after your kids, they've got you on video doing a lot of stuff. Estamino Island, whatever that guy's name is, that didn't self-delete in prison or whatever his name was. That's why he was so powerful. He had the dirt on people to destroy their way of life, to make things hard. And if that happens, that's why I've been listening a lot to some courses about the Civil War, or the Revolutionary War, what led up to the Revolutionary War, the time in Americas and the world before that. What a extraordinary group of people to have a revolution over an idea. It wasn't a revolution because they were starving. It wasn't a revolution because they were overly oppressed. They were eventually, but it was a revolution over, if you tax me, then I'm a slave. That was the main point of all that. And they said, okay, we're done with that.
Yep.
And you had certain number of people that were able to go through and do that. And the real losers out of the Revolutionary War were the Loyalists. They were absolutely destroyed after that, and just hung and all kinds of stuff, and deservedly so. But you pick a side, and sometimes you pick right, and sometimes you pick wrong. And if I had to pick a side back then, I would have been with the British for sure.
Well, and there were special circumstances with that too, with it being the New World. I mean, you were being ruled from across an ocean.
Yeah,
they definitely had a long supply line, and the U.S., they made so many mistakes. I mean, General Lee was just awful. And even had, Benedict Arnold turn because he felt slighted, and they were just, in Washington made some huge mistakes. There was a lot of that made. And there were a couple of battles that turned it around. Saratoga. Without Saratoga, the French wouldn't have said they would come into it. And there was a lot of people in Parliament in England that didn't want to do this. So just give them their independence, let them go.
Yeah.
But, I mean, slavery wasn't really a thing in the States as before all of this happening, 1600s and that kind of stuff, because it was all sugar. Right. And the sugar came up from what they call the East Indies and all this stuff and everything. Right. And coming up, that was really where a lot of this stuff came from. Was it?
I'm pretty sure you misspoke on that one because I heard it too.
No.
Lee?
No. Lee's Civil War. You got to think about Revolutionary War.
Okay. Well, you said Lee, but we're talking about.
They were questioning.
Yeah. Because
it was just a misspeak.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Well, okay. All right. So in the context, what made it confusing, you mentioned Lee, but we're talking about the Revolutionary War.
Yes. So the Revolutionary War, General Henry Lee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was a fucking idiot. Made a whole bunch of mistakes that nearly got everything destroyed.
Got it.
Yeah. Not Henry Lee, Charles Lee.
Sorry, whenever I hear Lee, I immediately think Robert E. Lee.
Robert E.
Charles Lee was a British-born American military officer who served as general of the Continental Army during the American Revolutionary War.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yep. So, because you were like, there was Horatio Gates, you had Artemus Ward, you had Washington, and you had a few others, and then you had Lee, who was just a complete fucking retard. So.
Yep.
I mean, he fought on the right side.
Well, I mean, the funny thing about it, you've mentioned this a few times, how they don't teach civics in school anymore, and that is such an important thing to fully understand, which is part of the reason why I think the United States is in the position that it is because of that.
Right.
But yeah, amongst other things, it goes back to the continued dumbing down.
You're right, Mark. I forgot about Mel Gibson. Without him, it doesn't happen.
But it was funny because like when I was in high school, two of my very liberal teachers were talking about how the government's dumbing down Americans and in students and whatnot. And it's like and this is in the 90s, and these are two lefty guys. Of course, anyone in the left now would be for what's going on rather than against it like they were back then. I mean, it's insane where we are today. I mean, we've talked about this multiple times, talks about how they've gotten rid of vocations in high school because they want to funnel people into colleges to basically put people into debt and to further that kind of like system that they have in place when it comes to paying for college and debt. And that's a way to keep an American enslaved is through all this money they owe for going to college and getting a useless degree.
Yeah.
And then for whoever forgives it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think forgiveness was ever on the table until recently. Right. But and again, that's a buying votes technique, right?
Yeah.
So because of desperation.
Middle schooler running for student council that throws candy into the crowd and says,
"Yep, vote for me.
Vote for me."
Yep. Pinochet's helicopter tour is $5. The Steele dossier was election interference. The FBI's Crossfire Hurricane was election interference. Nobody noticed Biden's 2021 executive order allowing federal agencies to facilitate ballots to illegals. Yeah, interesting. Not surprising, but interesting. Pinochet's helicopter tour is for $5. I have been talking about Directives 51 or NSPD 51/HSPD-20. News reports yesterday Biden planning to declare a climate emergency and has 130 sweeping impositions that can only be challenged in court. Yeah, not shocked in the slightest there. This is something that we've been talking about for ever since I've heard about the Great Reset. That's one of the whole points of that they're trying to build up to is the climate emergency so they can start doing climate lockdowns. It's the reason why they want to have all this automation in place in your vehicle, in your home. They recently did this thing.
You down.
Yeah, they recently did this thing in San Antonio where SAWS has like these digital meters now that basically you're able to go. It's convenient to see your real-time water use, but I think the real reason behind it is that if they can cut your water off and you don't have to send somebody out there. Yeah, that's concerning.
Well, and we just had the UN climate chief come out, on April 10th or so, about 2 weeks ago, saying that, yep, we're down to 2 years now. If we don't get everything done within the next 2 years, the world's lost.
Okay. At this point, bring it on.
We've already passed every deadline that they've
previously
done, and nothing's
come
happened
up with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go figure.
I blame the Canadians.
I do too. Specifically Trudeau. Pinochet's helicopter tours for $5. Everything the establishment has done also includes a thumb in the eye against the civilians or citizens. Everything comes with a slap in the face in punishment for going against them and daring to elect Trump. Well, I mean, that's part of it, but it's going against the grain at this point, I would say. Anyone who steps out of line, you can't let people step out of line because if they do, they might have dangerous thoughts of their own, independence and freedom and liberty and all these other things that are so dangerous to a administrative state. People thinking for themselves, we can't have that.
I'm going to bring this up with Pinochet here. Okay. No mortgage forgiveness, no credit card forgiveness, just their college soldiers get debt forgiveness. Okay. In 2008, during the mortgage crisis, they spent a ton of money bailing out banks.
Yes, they did.
They spent so much money bailing out those banks that they could have paid off the mortgage of every person that actually paid taxes in the United States. Okay. Not people who had a house that got money back. I'm talking about, people who actually paid taxes.
Mhm.
Right? So approximately 51% of the people in the United States pay in taxes. Of that 51%, about 85% own homes. They could have paid all of that off, been no mortgage debt whatsoever, and you could have been a complete reset in the housing market for what they did, the money that they gave to the banks that you could never see again.
Yeah.
That most of that went foreign. Right? So this isn't about helping out the common person. This is about them making their money. And until you go to a local government meetings and stop voting for people who are screwing you over, and maybe that means you need to stand up and run. Right? But I mean, you look at, what is it, Chile, where the dude, which one was Argentina?
Javier Milei.
They had to have like 270% inflation or something like that.
Yeah.
That's how bad it had to get before they voted somebody that would do something about it. But you saw how quickly he turned it around.
Yep.
You get rid of the EPA, you get rid of the Department of Education, you get rid of probably, I'd say FBI, most FBI, all the regulatory stuff. You get rid of that stuff. FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, they'd all be gone. I'd get rid of those laws. And the budget would be balanced and you'd have a heck of a surplus. I mean,
Massey did today. Did you
Yeah.
see that?
Oh, what did he do?
He presented a bill to do away with the Department of Education today.
Well, he's been saying
he's been doing that about every 6 months.
Yeah.
He's
he's
basically
been doing that for a while. He mentioned that on Tim Pool several times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I missed that part.
We were number 1 or number 2 in the world, and then they created the Department of Education. Obviously, it's failed. The problem is when the government is the largest employer in the state of Illinois. Do you think they're going to shrink the size of the government? No.
Yeah, that was my next thing I was going to mention when it comes to cutting these, departments, is the fact that the government is probably one of the largest employers in this country. And if these people suddenly lost their jobs, it'd be pretty catastrophic. And that's the thing we need to do, is figure out a way of being able to
catastrophic in the Northeast.
Yeah.
It didn't really matter to them when it was catastrophically shutting us all down during
the
pandemic.
Oh, of course. They don't give a shit about us. They don't care about themselves.
Right. So why should I give a crap about all of them losing their jobs?
Yeah. Well, it's the greater impact we have to look at, right? It's you can't
shut down the IRS.
Right.
You do that, half the country's out of work.
Yeah,
I get that.
However, and well, hang on, let me finish my thought. It's getting to a point where we're trying, we make it less and less, right? Because if you just rip the Band-Aid, unless there's like a fucking crisis like what happened with Argentina, you can't just go ripping the Band-Aid off because blood's going to start squirting everywhere, right? You need to take the Band-Aid off slowly, reducing the amount of positions, and ultimately get rid of that over a period of time. That's the way you handle it without fucking your economy up. Right.
Right. So you need to have the Senate and the House and the presidency, and you have to pass a bill that requires the reduction of the federal government by 15% every year. And only a 2/3 majority vote of the legislatures of each state in 2/3 of the state, basically an amendment, will reverse it. That's what you have to do. And you're not going to be popular. That's for definite sure.
The person you can't see.
Oh, sorry.
Technically, that's 2 people, but
sorry about that.
You could take a guess on who.
I'm not molesting it. I'm just taking it.
Yep.
Field strip.
But the other thing is, all of those employees probably have pensions.
Yeah.
Every government job.
Oh, they have golden parachute stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have to do
even
much.
Low level, you get a pension. I mean, U.S. postal workers get a pretty good pension. It's why so many of them double and triple dip.
Oh, yeah. Now, police and fire, being able to retire in full benefits after 20 years, there's an upper limit. Like when the military and police and fire, there's an upper limit to the physical capability that you have to perform that job. There's nothing more that I can't stand than a fat fireman or a fat cop, right? There are physical requirements for that job, and they should be there. And if you can't pass them, you're out. And that's because that's a civil service. That is very important. I do not want an EMT that weighs 450 pounds trying to pull me out of the wreck of a car, right? I do not want a fireman that's 350 pounds coming over trying to open up a hose while a house is on fire. I saw that, right? That's what destroys society, is you lower your standards to the point that some of that's union. I get it. But 20 years, you've put in the time, you've done all that stuff, everything. You get to retire on full benefits and get to go off and do something else. Right. That's how you have people came out of the war that had seen war, and not as, less than 5% of the people that were actually enlisted during World War II actually saw combat, or some number like that, right? So you come back with organizational skills, and there were things that we were able to do, like the Manhattan Project and other secret projects, to get things done, right? So you bring back a group of people that are galvanized into making and doing something, and then they rolled into basically the space program, and we put people on the moon. And then we realized that the moon is covered in tiny little bits of very sharp glass, volcanic glass that's up in the air. And that's what is the main problem with going back to the moon, is the Apollo 17 spent 22 hours on the surface of the moon and almost lost an astronaut because the suit was degraded by the dust. Right? Wow. So what you're saying is it's not made of cream cheese. It is not. It is not made of cream cheese. I don't know why people would think that. No idea. Because cream cheese is really good. Maybe it would be made of Swiss cheese with all the holes. Yeah. Flat earther. I need to get this from Pinochet. Pinochet said come to us for $5. If they could just print money, why are they taxing us then? Think about that. Think on that. It's control. That's what it comes down to. There's also another theory behind it. If they don't tax us, people would catch on that our money is basically worthless, and that would cause hyperinflation. There's a wide variety of reasons behind it, but it's kind of fucked up, dude. It really is. The Treaty of Versailles did not lead to World War II. Hyperinflation caused by the World Banks, US, UK did. A US Kristallnacht is coming next. I would not be surprised on that. I mean, technically, you could say they've already had it. It was the January 6th. Pinochet's headcount tours for $5. Lost my house during the mortgage crisis, January 2007. Mortgage 2009, baby.
Okay.
No, he lost 2007. I lost mine in 2009.
Got it. That was the day I got red pilled. I joined the army, forcing the banks to lay off during my 8-year contract. SOL equals 7 years. Yeah, that was that whole thing was interesting because I mean that ultimately is what led to Occupy Wall Street, and of course that got taken over by identity politics too. So that's basically how you go and destroy movements, is you riddle it with identity politics, and suddenly that movement loses power and loses steam, and they start fighting amongst themselves rather than fighting the thing that they established themselves to fight, which was this fucking government bailout nonsense of banks.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of that in the quote unquote fellowship with this. I've seen some really odd stuff with Fallout, the TV show. Mm-hmm. Some people that are going back and forth and saying stuff there, and it just happens when people are different. Mm-hmm. And I go back to we wouldn't have all of these different denominations of religion if there was one agreed upon right way to do things.
Yeah.
Right. We wouldn't have all these different kinds of political leanings and thoughts and how government should run if we all agreed. And why the representative republic worked as long as it did is because we could be local and be different and still have the same basic ideal of freedom of movement, freedom of expression, freedoms to defend ourselves, those kind of things. And that's really what's been eaten away at that. They've eaten away at the bankruptcy laws, which is a big part of what happened. Not having a debtor's prison.
Dodd-Frank was a problem.
Yeah, and they, that was Clinton that gutted those. Back in the day, Clinton gutted the monopoly laws. The Obama was the one that gutted the bankruptcy laws.
He also fucked with the Telecommunications Act as well. Clinton did.
Clinton,
some of it was good, some of it was bad.
Some good, some bad. I mean, I look back on it, he's a hell of a lot better than most people that we've had. So
he gutted with the meat aspects. I'm sorry, what'd you say, Brahma?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I didn't hear you.
Oh, I just said he was more centrist than what his party is today by a lot.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's fucking ridiculous.
Which is funny because we can say that about former Democrats sometimes, but every former Republican's a Nazi.
Yeah. Well, that was like one of the things I remember with Bush was the Nazi rhetoric that was going on. I was like, dude, this is gonna get fucking worse, man. And it did. It fucking did.
So this is funny. Culture just called me, wanting to know if I was going to make yelling at parked cars, and if he needed to come over and help you out. And I'm like, it started an hour ago. He's like, oh, all right, great.
Where it started for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know. But I mean,
but Culture hasn't showed up in a year and a half.
Yeah, he showed up last week.
No, I'm just giving him a hard time.
You're giving him the hard time?
He showed up for 10 minutes to pump the merch. That was it.
That's right.
That was basically it.
And we sold stuff. Hey, that's shocking. I need to do all those. It's been a week.
We talked about the bridge stuff on Monday's show, and Eric K was kind enough to go and dig up the article from G&G. So here it is. Let me.
Geeks and Gamers?
Yeah, Geeks and Gamers. They do articles and stuff, you know that? Yeah. So Bridge, DEI and steroids. I'm not going to read the article, but basically this video they have sums up everything. Okay, so this is a VTuber who's been covering the stuff. If you're someone just starting to pay attention to what is going on with Gamergate 2 and how journalists, game consultants, and game devs are all ignoring reality to try and cover up who started the harassment, as well as cite the "you can't be racist against white people," and I can't read the entire thing, but I'll just play the video. So this shit's nuts. Absolutely.
That bridge is an acronym for belonging, representation, inclusion, diversity. The G is the gap in all of those things, and then the E is equity. And our mission is really about moving the narrative of DE&I away from philosophy to operationalizing inclusion as a business practice. So our North Star is that. Our North Star is not necessarily marketing per se, because we believe that inclusion needs to cross the entire organization, marketing included, but everywhere from organizational practices all the way to advocacy. And so the way that we come at it is that we look at the business practices. Our goal is really about operationalizing inclusion, as I said, as a business practice, not a philosophy anymore.
Yeah.
And to your point, Sasha, what that does is it removes the dependency of DE&I from an individual personal function, and it places it squarely on everyone in the organization, right? And so I can talk a little bit about a framework.
Yeah, that's not cult-like behavior.
No, not at all.
Not in the slightest. And I'm not just talking about what the black lady is doing when she's praising this shit, though that is kind of cult-like behavior. But like legit, getting everybody to buy into this shit is fucking cult behavior.
Why did they always have a German accent?
Yeah. It's pretty over.
Yep.
It's pretty much over at this point. So, I mean, All I can say is one of these two women need to go make me a damn sandwich. That's pretty much it. And
Tox, let me ask you something. Do you really want one of those women making you a sandwich?
I didn't say I was going to eat it. I did not. So that's the royal make me a sandwich is what I mean by that. So the pendulum
I don't
has
think I
swung
want either
so
one of them cleaning the
far-
kitchen either. Jesus.
The pendulum has swung so far one way that when it comes back into the other way, it's going to be devastating for people like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be like Planet of the Apes. It's really going to be that kind of societal fall into regression.
So are we going from Idiocracy to Planet of the Apes?
Now, Idiocracy is how we got, things eventually have to fall. But, I mean, there's a reason why the Middle Ages were the way they were. They weren't as bad as people thought.
Oh, no.
Right? But
They weren't.
there was a reason why the church... The church really came against... Okay. The whole witch craze and all that stuff that happened when they were torturing witches and the Inquisition, all the stuff and everything from there, right? It was pretty much getting rid of women like this woman on the right, older, alone, didn't really go with the established system, right? So they said, oh, you're a witch, burn a mistake. Well, okay, here we are, in the 2020s, about 400 years later, and bam, it has really come the other way.
Yep.
Well, guess what? It's going to go back the other way, and you're going to end up in that. And back and forth. And I think that those of us who've grown up in the United States during this time, and I'd say born in the 50s and 60s on up to those of us that are alive during that time and stuff today, have really seen humanity at its penultimate since its existence. We have really seen, by living in the United States, and I'm very grateful for being born in the United States. And I've seen and done things that 99% of the world will never get the opportunity to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that is because I was born in the United States, right? The
that's the thing,
medical
there's a
care
lot
and
of
all that stuff.
opportunity here. And that's the thing that people don't get is the fact that we have opportunity here. And that's the reason why people come here. But Americans don't understand that, right? It's just...
We've gotten to that point
impressed.
where it's just now expected.
Yeah.
So I was taught where all this came from. People died. I had people in World War II, and I was very fortunate to have people that were experienced in opening up German concentration camps that had pictures of their own, and they showed us those, and they showed us what hate was really like.
Yeah. And
I have seen articles and utensils made out of humans. All right. That depravity and stuff at that level. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that way. I don't have that attitude. I have nothing against these two women. I believe that they should be able to live their life to the fullest and have the opportunity. But what they are touting is exactly what the Nazis and the Japanese did. It's exactly what the fascists did. These two women are fascists. Actual fascists, and they're going to lead to the death of people. That's what I want to stop. They've gone so far to the other side. This is not about content of character anymore. It's about them being right and thinking that men have made them unhappy. No, what's made you unhappy is the person looking at you in the mirror, especially that ugly fucking bitch on the right. If I had to look at that every day.
Speaking of the ugly fucking bitch on the right, let's finish watching this. We still have like another 4...
Oh, we're not done. We have 4 minutes of this fucking bullshit.
3 minutes and 30 seconds.
God, I'm going to go call culture.
Get it, but I'll let you, maybe ask other questions and then we can get there.
No, I mean, I would love to hear this framework because you are speaking my language, right? I have always been one that said this needs to be a part of the DNA of the organization.
That's right.
If something happened to the one person that's responsible, it should not.
Okay, one of the things I think is kind of funny, having worked for a consulting company, they have things like they'll come up with like maturity models, like IT maturity models. They basically have the exact same thing. That's once the video is done, I'll kind of run through it on the website on Geeks and Gamers. But they actually have a maturity model for this bridge nonsense.
Make everything else fall apart. And so one of the things that we're noticing right now is so many organizations are letting go or cutting back the resources or funds to their diversity and inclusion offices, their chief diversity officers, etc. And people are just like, okay, so if that's gone, what else do we do? And it's like, it should be part of your DNA.
You stop doing it. That's what you do.
No,
it's
you go
this
with
is
the
fucking
department.
cancer.
You go with the Department of Me.
Yeah.
Merit and equality.
Yes. Merit and equality.
Be part of your everyday operations, regardless of which department you're a part of, and it goes beyond your employees.
That's
Like,
right.
how is it impacting the industry that you're a part of? How is it impacting your customers and clients? All of those things. And so, like I said, you're speaking my language. So, tell us a little bit about this framework, because I think, many of the people that listen to this show are, some are DEI practitioners, some are in HR or in culture teams, and some are just leaders, within their organizations that want to be more inclusive.
Yes, it is.
And so if you could share that framework so people have an understanding of, okay, these are some things I need to be considering or thinking about.
Yeah. So, okay. So we decided kind of early on when we when we created Bridge, and it should be said that we're still a young organization. We're not yet a toddler, but we're courageous, so we act like teenagers.
Strangle the infant in its crib then.
And so very early on, I was connected. So I had worked in a past project with an incredible.
I gotta say, is it any surprise that this is created by a progressive white woman?
Well,
With pronouns.
Yeah.
is that collar there the Hyde Adams apple? That's my question.
Mm.
Could be. Never know. I'm
It
not
used to
gonna.
be.
Not gonna.
The voice kind of usually gives it away, but
Professor of marketing at Emory University, Dr. Omar Rodrigo Villa. And I was talking to him when I was creating. Is if you look at the Bridge board of
Rumble
directors,
just went down.
you'll see an
did it?
I believe so.
Well, I know that Rumble's
They
been
were
having
attacked
issues.
earlier.
Yeah.
Now we're back.
Okay, now we're actually back.
You know what it was?
What was it?
Her drone
That
input
ugly
Rumble
fat
was
white
fake.
bitch broke the internet. That's what happened. There's only so much ugly they can take. And you know what? I don't know her. I'm sure she's completely horrible to every male that's ever been in her life, okay?
I thought you were going to go with I'm sure she's a lovely person.
No, she's not. Anyone who thinks this kind of shit she's driven people out of her life. You can see the sadness in her eyes. The woman on my left just doesn't know any better. All right. She is a product of the education she's been given.
No,
it.
I call bullshit. She's capitalizing on it. Literally, she has the name of her company, I bet, is called the Equity Equation. I'm sure it was started 5 years ago, and it was to capitalize on this DEI nonsense. It's like any race grifter out there. She's no different.
Well,
I don't think she's ignorant. She's going, I see this thing and I can make money off of it. That's what I think she's doing. Maybe she's also a true believer too, but she's definitely capitalizing on this.
Yeah, the other person,
both things. So, miserable person wants to make other people miserable, and she
exactly.
can make money doing it.
Yes, please refer to feminism.
Well, I mean, the woman on the right probably doesn't like the woman on the left, but she has to do this stuff to make money. You can just tell she is unhappy with who she is, where she is, and what's going on. Probably because she's 40 to 60 pounds overweight.
Maybe.
Okay. And none of that stuff. This is yet again an individualist versus a collectivist mindset. Mm. She thinks that her internal unhappiness is because of me.
Yep.
When it's actually because of her. And anytime that I'm unhappy and all this stuff, it pretty much is my fault.
Well, that's most, people that, I would say, take a look at feminism. They're constantly blaming men, but in reality, it's the women that are doing the worst things to them, other women. Mm-hmm. But they constantly complain about, men this, men that. It's like, bitch, please. It's like, the funny thing is, like, any female who works in an office full of other females, I can guarantee, guys, you've heard your spouse bitch about women at work.
Oh, yeah. Women and catty in the work.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what you were saying about feminism, I mean, they should be upset with how they got there, which is through feminism.
Yeah. And I'm going to put Southern Belle on the spot. I don't know if you ever worked in a workplace full of other women, so I'm not sure if that is your lived experience as well.
My lived experience working with other women?
Yeah, basically other women are worse to other women than men.
Yes. Oh, my gosh, yes. It's absolutely nightmare with other women. I'd rather work with men than women.
What was that? What was that on Foul Ball's channel where he showed the article of the woman in England that decided to create a company who would hire nothing but women?
Oh, yeah.
And within 6 months, she was bankrupt and all that stuff. And they had to bring in a couple of men to help.
I'm pretty sure Matt did talk about that.
Yeah, I think Matt was talking about that. And it's a balance. It's 100% a balance. I'm not, there was a bunch of stuff that happened in my house with us, and family stuff was going on over the last couple of weeks, right? And there are things we had to do. We came together as a family to address that and deal with all that, right? So there were things Mrs. Flew is very good at. There's things that I'm very good at, and we complement each other with those.
Yes.
And where we are both bad at something, we're adult enough to recognize that, and we need to watch for it, right? Now, do I always respond back with love and affection when Mrs. Flew reminds me of my complete, assholeness about something?
Oh,
no.
I'm sure.
No. Does she always respond back, oh, that's great and everything to me? 99% of the time, yes. But, so...
Mrs. Flew is a lovely lady. I could never see her doing something like that to you, Tonks.
She has the memory of a Nant. It is very annoying. However, she is a sweet and wonderful person. And she, we all have our breaking points and things and stuff like that. But we go through this and she said, thank you for doing what you did to help me out on this stuff with this. And recognizing that I had to carry her through this a little bit. Yeah. Right. But I knew that was my job. There were things that were going on last year. She had to help carry me through that. Right. That's the thing there. It's about pride and not having that. You've got to let that stuff go. You got to drop your hubris and realize that you're not perfect. And, there's grace that has to happen with that. And I'm just not getting any of this from either one of these two people. There's nothing but hubris that comes from them. And that's the problem that I have.
Well, that's kind of a problem with a lot of this stuff is humility. Humility and appreciating what you have, right? I mean, that is such a key thing. Being able to go and recognize and appreciate what you have. Because if you don't, then I'm not going to say you're never going to be content. And there is something to be said about contentment as well, which is it can be an issue. I'm not saying it always is or it's bad. But yeah, the opposite is just as bad too. If you're never content, you're constantly trying to change things. I mean, that's basically the state of the world we're in right now, right? Where nobody has any kind of contentment. Everyone's angry. They want to burn the system down, whether it's justified or not, right? And that's kind of the issue. Is like there's definitely times where I think certain things definitely need to be burnt down, right? Because they've become corrupt, they've become bad, et cetera, et cetera. But that's not everything. The issues I think in our country we could fix if we really wanted to. Poverty, racial issues, blah, blah, blah. But the issue is that nobody wants to fix it. Why? Because there's money to be made off of it. There's money to be made off of misery. There's money to be made off of racism. There's money to be made off of division. And there's money to be made off of feminism. Right? And that's the reason why these organizations never go away once they get what they want. Is because, well, if you solve the problem, the grift goes away.
Well, yeah, and that's what really gets me is, okay, I get it. When I was growing up in school in the 70s, they were talking about Martin Luther King, all that stuff. I had very powerful African American teachers who got pissed when we said that they were any of that. Black, brown, that when they said we're Americans. That's what it's about. Right? I had a math teacher in 3rd grade that pulled up a binder and said, "This binder is black. I am brown. Don't call me black." Right? I have melanin that you don't have.
Yep.
So don't do that. I'm a human just like you. I bleed blood and all that stuff and everything. I don't want to hear this stuff. I don't want to hear any Snickers or any of that stuff. And she treated us with respect, and we did her.
Yeah.
Right? My science teacher was amazing. He would blow shit up. We had an open concept school, and he just blow shit up, and it would scare the crap out of the other teachers throughout the school, right? Especially the math teachers near him. He loved doing it. And he'd sit there and he'd be like, hold on. And he'd do something, it'd blow up. We'd all die laughing. And you hear the teachers in the other rooms. Coolest guy, take us outside, do all kinds of stuff. Thanks from there. Teaches real science, right? And he was just Mr. Smith. That's all he was. And I literally did not know what racism was until they stopped and told us in high school.
Yeah.
And I raised my kids that way. They had no idea that there was a difference between them and the kids of different colors and different backgrounds and all that stuff till they went to school and somebody told them they were different.
Yep.
So I am living proof that if you just stop fucking talking about it, it goes away.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And they couldn't stand it because they couldn't stand up for themselves.
Well, they couldn't fucking capitalize on it. I want to get Lord Shack's comment real quick. We're going to finish this off and then I'll get to Rumble Rants. When anarchists like comics start sounding like conservatives, I'm not an anarchist, by the way. Like me, a while back, I knew shit was hitting the fan. I'm a libertarian, man. I'm not an anarchist. I do believe in government. I think it is a necessary evil, but you definitely have to have constraints on it. The idea of anarchy sure, it works in small doses, but a nation like ours would never function under anarchy.
Besides, everybody knows you're a swallow-a-dixitarian.
Yeah. All right. Anyway.
Hey, that made Brahma snicker.
It did.
Well, when you were making the point earlier, comics, about we could solve these things and do these things, I mean, I'm looking at the situation. I mean, we were talking, during the intro about the Hamas holes. I'm convinced that part of the reason that this is such a thing that they've latched onto is these kids have never really seen anything that was, something that brought everybody together. These kids that are in universities right now, they're all post 9/11. And I don't think the pandemic did it because that divided people just as much as anything else. But the last time the country was kind of together for the most part was September 11th and September 12th. I mean, they need something to latch onto. I mean, and you can hear it from the way they're talking in these stupid protests. I mean, half of them don't even know what they're protesting, but they need something to latch onto because they have nothing that has brought them together with anybody else. And you can see the way that the way that they're talking about all these things together, they're trying to make everything into one, basically it's colonizers.
Mm-hmm. Well, because that's
we've
something
now
everyone can
combined
get
all
behind,
the
right?
racist, misogynist, all the things that they call us. Now it's just colonizers.
Yep.
It's a common enemy that we've now found.
Well, it's not global warming, global cooling, oceans rising. All this. Now it's just climate change.
Yep.
Yes, the climate changes all the fucking time.
Right, but they keep combining everything into just even things that don't go together. They will just combine it into one thing that even there's no chance in hell it can coexist.
Islam.
Yeah,
right.
There's no chance in hell it can coexist. But we need a target to direct our angst at.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's what was happening in Germany in the 20s and 30s, in Japan, in the same place.
Yep.
And we are close. And who they're going to come after is those that don't think like them.
We're a tinderbox, and all it needs is a spark.
Yep. All right, let's finish this off.
Intersection between chief diversity officers. So we have like the chief diversity officer from Discover Financial and Unilever and Nielsen. But then we have the marketing leaders from Colgate and Indeed and Campbell's. And then we have CEOs from a number of different companies. Because
Campbell's.
we believe, again,
Fucking
this is kind of
Campbell's
acting
soup.
out on our mission is that the change needs to happen at that intersection of DE&I, marketing and business. So
Why does soup need DEI? That doesn't make any fucking sense.
DEI is just communism.
I know.
That's all it is. Communism, socialism tied up together. All it is going to do.
Well, I mean, it has fucking
is
commie
starve
words
people.
in it. Equity is a fucking commie word.
Right. So struggle session.
Yeah.
I mean, Disney is 100% communist now.
Oh,
That-
shit.
Yeah, the struggle session that they pulled on Gina Carano. And you're talking about people in the revolution that stood up and said, okay, enough is enough. Gina Carano is one of those kind of people. Stood up, enough is enough. I'm not going to deal with this.
Okay, so this maturity shit is what I was talking about. Having worked for a consulting company, talking about IT maturity, whatnot, this is exactly the same fucking thing. This is a fucking business model, obviously, because they have a website right up here, which is wearebridge.com. And you can see the crazy lady that was on screen. But notice how everybody basically is,
insane.
Well, insane, but majority of them are women, and POC women at that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nobody on that board. So they say diversity, inclusion, all that stuff. There's nobody on the board that's the largest single group of people in the world, which is white men.
Yep.
There's Latino men, but there's not a white man up there. And you're seeing that in commercials and all kinds of stuff. And eventually what you
exist in commercials.
Yeah,
Right.
white men don't exist in commercials unless they're retards. Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to create your own. So the Warrior Poet Society, that's pretty much what you have to do. He's got his own place and all this stuff. He's doing his own thing. He's got people coming out there, spending money to like minds, doing stuff and all that to be self-sustaining and have a community that is working together for mutual protection.
Mhm.
And that's really what you have to do to be able to step out of that. Because eventually you're going to pressure people to a certain point, and then it's just going to go off.
Yeah.
And how that happens and what happens. And I think the powers that be know that, and they're trying to mitigate the ability of people to be free.
Mhm.
Digital currency, I think, is the big one.
Yep.
As soon as everything's digital currency and you can't take cash. I mean, I pay cash every time I possibly can. All right. I do that. Number one, I love watching people have to make change. Right. And
You're a sadist.
well, no, I did retail for a very long time, and I knew how to make change real fast and was very accurate. I mean, I did convenience store stuff for very high volume stores. I'm talking $20,000, $30,000 a shift that was running through my register. And I had to be within a penny of all of that. Right. and I frequently was, that was normal. Now, you know, if it's not the buttons and all that stuff, but if they make it to where anybody, you don't need to know the language and this stuff, they're just the automaton, and you're making enough money to be able to afford the public transportation, the 2 hours to get to your hovel with the 4 or 5 families that are living in it, and you consider that to be okay because you're not living in a hut somewhere, that's what they want. Because that's what they've done everywhere else. And the they is the ruling class.
Well, that's one thing that I've kind of mentioned is that what I think they're trying to do is reestablish the aristocracy.
Mm-hmm.
That's ultimately what they want.
Well, they ultimately kind of have already.
Yeah.
Our political class is some of the richest people in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And hobnob with all of the richest people in the country.
Yep.
There is an elite class, and it is partly made up of our political class.
Well, that's the way that you get ahead and get rich now, is that you have charisma,
service.
become a politician, and then get into that payday. I mean, where the hell did Obama come from?
Yeah.
He was nothing to 2 years as senator to president of the United States.
Yeah, he was.
That's the kind of stuff
it was a pretty meteoric rise for him. I'm going to cut the stream on YouTube. There's a comment I want to read from Pinochet. That's not
this one. You're a
YouTube
sick flu man.
No, that's not it. But
is it when Randall called that white woman a cunt?
Yes. No.
Okay.
I said Pinochet, not Randall. Anyway,
one's Canadian, one's
thank
from
you.
Boston.
Thank you guys for watching on the YouTubes. Head over and watch us on the Rumbles.
Where's the link?
I
just dropped
the
it.
link in is what I said.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I'm killing the stream on the YouTube side.